We'll just wait
In the
for it.
real world, I have we want to talk. Does in the real world want to become just like our problems that we have?
Here's what happened to me this week.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast, a bi-weekly podcast delivering an episode-by-episode breakdown of the original G1 series. This is our episode number 151, covering episode number 44 of the G1 series, titled Child's Play. And this is your host, Aaron, and please say hello to the Jake Taylor and Willie Mays Hayes to my Rick Wild Thing Vaughn.
Holy shit. We're doing Major League?
It's a baseball episode.
Oh, yeah, okay. I get it. I'm Ryan. Which one am I supposed to be?
You can lay the claim to
Willie
that.
Mays Hayes.
Okay, good choice.
Can I be Joe Boo?
The God?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
All right.
All right. Guys, we did not celebrate episode 150.
We did it.
Yeah, I think whenever we complete an episode, that's a celebration in and of itself.
We probably should have, because, I were texting about this, and I said we can do something for 200, and I looked at it, and it's like a year away, more than a year away.
We have time to plan.
Maybe 175. That's a half year away, right, then? By that?
I think that'll be
Math?
the end of season 2 around there.
Yeah. Whatever you guys want to do
Okay.
there, I'm cool.
Maybe the celebration is just the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Ugh, the end of my joy.
And the beginning of mine.
I know. Yeah, I can't wait for the arguments around that time. Anyway, yeah, what else is going on around here?
Weather's getting nice. I bought some kayaks.
Wow.
Let's hit the river.
Caleb is upgrading his life around the outdoors. You got a truck,
I did. I got a truck to pull my camper.
right? Got the kayaks.
I got the kayaks. I'm ready. I'm ready for the river. And I keep trying to really think Ryan would like to get on the river. I ruined his previous experience with that, but I think that I can win him over again if he just gives me an opportunity, just gives me a chance to take him out on a kayak on a river. This time, not on a bachelor party, not crowded full of people, and just a nice, pleasant, quiet river experience.
Why was your river experience ruined, Ryan?
Well, I was bossing him around.
Yeah, I got them. First of all, there's very few things I'd rather not do than float for 8 hours in a canoe.
And they're speaking, by the way, of my bachelor party,
Yeah.
which was like it was a small group, like 5 or 6 of us, and we camped and floated the next day. and
Two
then
of my
camped
least
again.
favorite activities. I don't enjoy the Neanderthal fantasy camp.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think
Neanderthals didn't have beer, and they certainly didn't have Titty City.
we met
Actually, they probably did.
we met-
Life was Titty City.
we met
for
the mayor.
Neanderthals.
Yeah, there were so many people on that river that day, and we met the mayor of Titty City on
Right.
the river,
Yes.
and he was holding court. He was. It was pretty awesome.
That's
but
right. River law is something that you
Yes.
have to abide by, and
Yeah.
if you don't, you know.
you get banished.
You know, I say that I don't want to do this, which is ironic because I watch a lot of like 18th century stuff and like Neolithic arts, like building a lean-to and stuff like that. That I find interesting, just not camping.
I get that. I'm over tent camping, and that's why I have a camper, which has a bathroom, air conditioning. It's just like hauling your bedroom around, which is pretty nice.
Glamping.
Yeah, this isn't not. I don't know. Is having a camper glamping? I mean, there's a difference.
I think only it's glamping if you have an old Airstream that's been completely refurbished and you've got Sputnik lights hanging from it, that whole mid-century aesthetic.
Yeah, this is just a camper, and it's a good time. We're not staying in a yurt that has mineral water already provided in it or anything like that.
You're not going to Joshua Tree.
for that perfect pick. Yeah, no.
Yeah, actually, you should go to Joshua Tree. It's amazing.
I've been. It's
I
nice.
love Joshua Tree.
Yeah. Anywho, that's what I did. I bought kayaks, and my goal is to try to convince Ryan maybe on some random weekday to get out on the river with me. No one's around. It'll be pleasant.
There was
We'll
one
see.
cool thing. That's the first time I've ever seen an eagle in person. There were a bunch of eagles on the river.
Yeah, it was the mayor. It was the mayor's bird. It was perched on his shoulder.
Wait a minute. I think looking back in my memory, the mayor of Titty City was that QAnon shaman guy.
Oh no!
By mayor, we just mean some dirtbag who was like,
who claimed the title for himself.
Guaranteed. Most of those people on the river that day probably were Trump voters.
But yeah, I've floated a lot in my life, but I've rarely floated during a time on a river that was so populated. It was different. I think it's the typical floating experience for kids in their 20s. Pull over and there's like 50 to 100 people wasted just hanging out for a little bit before they move on down the river. And I found that kind of fun, but I'm guessing Ryan.
It has.
we were in our 30s.
That's okay.
It's just too late.
Well, I still enjoyed it. Caleb, next time I'm riding with you.
Yeah, and
Ryan can have the kayak to himself.
well, I was being an idiot because I was drunk, but I was also like in the back of the canoe. Ryan was up front, and I had gotten in my head that I'm a canoe master. Like I know everything, and so I was like yelling commands like go left, go right, slow down, stop, and I was being a backseat driver.
This is the first time I've ever paddled a
Yeah,
canoe.
and he wasn't doing a bad job. I was just being, I don't know what my problem
I'm
was.
the river wizard.
Yeah. So if we do it again, I'll keep my mouth shut and just enjoy the.
And I had unreasonable expectations because I was like, we'll do this for like 2 hours.
Oh, that's not how it works.
And every time there was a bend in the river, I'm like, this has got to be the end.
No.
It just reminds me of a funny story that Caleb played a small part in, which was River Antics back when I was a tender 21. So this story will involve narcotics. Just know that I'm older now by decades. But I just started work at a restaurant at a country club. And I was making friends with all these new people, and they were going on a float trip. I got invited to go on the float trip. One of the girls that worked there took a shining to me, and so I took a shining back. And so we were going to be paired up and be on the boat together, and new romance. Camping out the night before and floating the next day, much like this bachelor party trip. And I got wasted that night before. Everybody did. I mean, that's just what it was. But I wasn't as accustomed to partying as these people were, and a little bit of the came out that night, so I was up a little later than probably usual. Went to bed that night, woke up a little bit later than everybody, late enough that I missed breakfast. We had some chefs and stuff on this float trip, so they made a killer breakfast spread. Well, I missed all of that, and my thought was, I'm a warrior. Ugh. I just cracked open a beer and started drinking like pounding immediately, which reactivated all the alcohol from the night before. And I remember joining the group. I chased. I think I remember having to kind of run to catch up to the bus.
They were trying to get away from you.
Got on the river got in a canoe with a lady.
The lady.
And I had bought a little bit of. As well, so I had some on me, and I just started doing it. So I'm between drinking beers and doing the occasional. I lost complete control of my body, and I was on this canoe. I have very in and out memories, but I'm on this canoe with her, and I'm in back, and so I'm canoeing. But every time I would go in, like let's say on the left side to start to paddle off the left, I would just tip out of the boat. I would just fall.
He kept falling out
of the boat. I'd get back at everybody, and everybody obviously gets annoyed when you turn a boat or when you fall out of a boat. But imagine doing that about 10 times within probably a 10-minute period.
Yeah.
I had no balance, and I tipped the boat so many times that the girl that was with me, she got very frustrated with me and said, I'm not riding with you anymore. And they traded partners, and I got into a canoe with another dude.
Yeah.
And then after tipping that canoe several times, they said, fuck it. somebody luckily had a raft, and they just chucked me in a raft
Dumps this piece
where
of shit.
where I passed out for probably 3 hours, and finally about what would have been the halfway point. It was a long float trip. It was like a 17-mile float trip, and the halfway point was very close to the campground. So some people, I don't remember who, walked me back to the tent where I passed out for the rest of the day while everybody else enjoyed their float. And then sometime while I was passed out, I urinated in the tent.
Yeah.
And so when everybody came back to the campground to peek their head in to check on me, I was
He was
face down in a puddle of urine.
in a tent, in her tent.
No, it was my tent.
Oh, okay.
It was my tent, but nobody, I was shunned. I mean, obviously I made up for it over
Right,
time,
yeah.
but it wasn't a good impression.
Good Lord, what a nightmare you would have been to be around that.
It was. I have,
have to
vivid
believe it.
memories of watching him like walking like a zombie down the river in the water, like because he was trying to get back into into the canoe, and finally they just threw him into the raft. And I remember seeing him like hanging off the side of the raft, like out. Yeah, man, you got to pace yourself. You gotta pace yourself.
Especially in your early 20s when you haven't quite established your
Just
tolerance for chemicals.
I don't know if I would have a tolerance. I think when you're young, you have a better tolerance. I think you just did too much.
I think you can
too
recover
much.
from hangovers better when you're
Yeah,
young.
yeah,
but
for sure.
But
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I had pissed in the tent. Nobody would talk to me on the drive home. I rode down with some people, and I'm like in the back seat. I know that my date is mad at me,
Yeah.
and I know everybody is irritated with me. I can sense that, and I kind of know why. I know. I knew that I was tipping over canoes, and I didn't know that the cherry on top of the shit Sunday was me pissing all over my tent and having that discovered.
God,
But
I think-
no, I didn't know that I did that, so I packed it up, and I didn't find out that was the case until I got home and I talked to my friend Mike,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Man, I screwed up. No, I acted like an idiot." And he was like, "Yeah, and the whole piss thing. I feel sorry for you." And I'm like, "What?"
The what now?
But that won't be the last time that I'll piss
Oh,
myself when I'm
no.
drunk.
Oh,
But that's
no.
okay.
You're not sleeping in my tent. We're not glamping with you.
All right, well, that's embarrassing. Ryan,
Yeah.
why don't you make us a little kitty cocktail for the week? Perhaps a Cheryl's Knights Templar or an Arnie Palm Tree?
Wow. It's not even that clever, but hold on.
I don't say whatever you want. I just want a drink, please.
Yeah, this one I didn't even bother trying to work it into this episode, and I just wanted to make painkiller cocktails. This is
Okay.
what this is a painkiller. It's one of only 2 trademarked cocktails, the other being the Gosling's Dark and Stormy. Technically, this drink can only be made with Pusser's rum, but and they've actually sued people over this, so fuck that. I used other rum because I'm anti-authoritarian.
They sued people over making this cocktail?
Bars making it without Pusser's rum. Yeah, this is 1 ounce or 30 mils of orange juice, 1 ounce of creme de coconut, 4 ounces or 120 mils of pineapple juice, 2 ounces of rum. I used a 1/4 ounce or 7.5 mils of rum fire overproof, which is like 126 proof, really funky but Jamaican rum. And then 3/4 ounce of Appleton Estate Gold and 1 ounce of Cruzan aged white rum. And you shake over ice and open pour into a tall glass and garnish with grated nutmeg and a pineapple wedge.
Ah, that nutmeg looks cool.
It's like a sideways grown-up pina colada, kind of.
Shall we? Cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen. Clink, clink.
Ding! I love this drink so much.
Did they win those lawsuits?
Yeah. It's a trademark cocktail.
Okay.
So
The
good.
only-
Why wouldn't you just call it something different?
I didn't really look into all the ins and outs. I just didn't want to use their rum. It's a fine rum, but like, fuck that.
I love it. This is good.
Yes. I like it better than a pina colada.
And again, Ryan,
The herbs.
your presentation is always like perfect.
Thanks.
What are the leaves?
palm? Or they're just pineapple fronds.
Okay.
I really think your true calling, Ryan, is to be a bartender of some sort.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
I would invest in a bar concept with you, Ryan. How do we do this? What is our concept?
I don't know. I've thought of like a bar connect. I don't know. I can't remember if I had a name for it, but I had an idea for a motel that was called the 20th Century.
Oh, yeah.
Where there'd be 10 rooms, and each room would be a different decade.
I like that. I think that's cool. You definitely would want to. I like how you're like, I'm not. Oh, it's a lot of work to run a bar. But here's an idea. I'm going to attach a hotel to it too. But
Yeah.
no, it's a good concept. Well, who knows? I still think that we, if my ship ever came in, that I would buy like some sort of building in town, and it would just be like our like club. Like we would just have like a club. I put a billiard table in it, maybe a pinball machine or something like that.
Watch terrible stag films.
Yeah,
It sounds like a man cave.
Yeah.
It is, but it'd be like our club.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I don't have a basement, so I can't make a man cave.
His ship is stuck in the Suez Canal.
Oh God.
So shout out, friend of the show and patron at Safubi Samurai on Instagram left us a review on iTunes,
Cool.
or as they call it, Apple Podcasts.
Lay it on us.
And the headline is The 11-Month Binge.
Wow.
He says, looking for anything to take my mind off the plague of 2020, I stumbled upon this podcast last April. Working in the medical equipment field at that particular moment in time was particularly overwhelming as orders poured in from hospitals all over the country. And this podcast, quite possibly, kept me sane.
Oh, wow.
11 months later, and I'm completely caught up, and I feel confident in saying this podcast is fantastic.
What?
Kudos to you, gentlemen. It's been a blast so far. So I guess I'm assuming he's binging fairly regularly at every given opportunity, which that means it takes 11 months to listen to our whole podcast if you're really trying to grind on it.
Well, there's about, 150 hours approximately, maybe more than that. Our early episodes were like 30, 40 minutes, but
Yeah.
now they're like 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the rating,
Yeah.
Mr. Safubi Samurai. We are happy that we could do our part to help you maintain your sanity so you could keep slinging them catheters. Is it catheters? I don't know. What do you sell? Caleb could use a Vas deferens replacement tube
Oh.
so you can get them, start making them kids again.
I don't want. I don't want more kids.
Also, check out at Safubi Samurai, SOFUBI SAMURAI on Instagram. Check out some great toy collection shots, lots of Transformers, third party, large mutant reptiles that are not Ninja Turtles. You can get them all there.
Yeah, thanks.
Last episode recap. Oh, I'm going to need your help with this, guys. You'll like it. When crime is in the city and things aren't looking pretty, what you gonna do? Make tracks.
Okay.
When you're cleaning up the town but your friends are not around, what you gonna do?
Make tracks.
When you're cruising down the street about to face defeat, what you gonna do?
Make tracks.
When Megatron has started a car theft ring with the help of the Gettys brothers and wants to convert those automobiles into remote-controlled transforming attack robots, and he does so with the help of the lead Constructicon Scrapper, who has a magic sword that apparently chops up the cars while also engineering carbot conversion abilities all in one whack, but then those robots invade the city with the intent of, well, I don't really know, but they're there and it's bad news and nobody likes it. What you gonna do?
Make tracks.
So let's kick off episode 44, Child's Play, written by Beth Bornstein and animated by Toei. Thank you, Caleb, for the accompaniment. That was perfect.
Fresh.
What if I think it wasn't?
Your opinion doesn't matter.
And it's only 1/3 of the show represented in it.
But I edit.
Oh no.
Shit. What you gonna do? This is stupid. We start the episode in a fully populated stadium, a full crowd of pre-COVID cats watching some sort of baseball.
Fucking idiots standing on the top of the dugout.
This cold open is pretty jarring.
Yeah.
I'm like, did I skip ahead 5 minutes?
I know. I think there's a lot of questions that we'll get into here.
Yeah.
So, no, friends, they are not watching baseball because the Decepticons have crashed this stadium game, and a ballsy, unexplainably off-camera general manager of this stadium is yelling at the Decepticons, "Let us play ball!"
Please. Respectfully, he says.
As general manager of this stadium, I respect that you allow us to play ball! Since the humans are so eager to play, this stadium will make a perfect space bridge. Why don't you accommodate them?
But did he think that was going to work? But the Decepticons have evolved to basic schoolyard bullies at this point. Thrust loads his arm cannon with baseballs and just fires them at some A-batters.
Well,
go ahead.
First of all, this will make a perfect space bridge, is what Megatron says. This stadium will make a perfect space. It's a little public.
Yeah.
Also, Ramjet Thrust starts firing these baseballs, and idiots start trying to catch him and hit him.
Yeah, one person lifts his mid up to catch it. It goes right through it. He blasts baseballs through a scoreboard, which falls on the stadium and certainly killed people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of questions. So, did the Decepticons just show up in the middle of the game and place their pre-built space bridge on the ground?
Yeah.
Or, I've got all the scenarios.
Okay.
Or did they show up in the middle of the game and then build their space bridge with all the players and attendees just watching?
Yeah.
Or did they show up and build the space bridge before the game, then left, then the spectators showed up and took their seats, looked at the field, said, there's a space bridge, but then they just went back to drinking their beer. Yeah.
I will say the third one is the most likely.
Yeah.
And then things just keep escalating. Like, when's this pre-game show? When are they going to get the space bridge off the field?
Right. Yeah, maybe they just thought it was part of some goofy, like,
let us play
in between inning game that you know. There's always like whatever the local radio host is like, we're going to do the Springfield Cardinals shuffle, and they thought this would be a part of it.
Did you set up the space bridge for this? No, I didn't set up the space. What is this?
Fuck it. We're all here.
Yeah.
Basically,
no refunds.
The question I have about this is the same question I have about our podcast, which is, why is the audience still here?
Yeah. The Decepticons just straight up start trying to murder people.
Yeah. Soundwave picks up a player, hurls him in the sky, and says, Skywarp, think fast. But there's an anime. That's another thing about this episode we'll get into. Normally, we try not to talk about every animation error, but this episode is noteworthy in its egregious animation problems.
There's a lot of layering issues.
Yeah.
And in that sequence, he throws to Skywarp, but it's colored like Starscream.
How many baseball phrases?
It's all that.
Can they
That's
throw
all
in?
everybody says.
That's what
this whole opening part.
Also, throwing that guy like that would kill him.
Yep.
Even if he's caught and placed on the ground, what you'd be placing on the ground is a dead body.
His spine is definitely fractured.
You got Ravage chasing somebody around the bases. Why around the bases? Finally, the spectators are starting to leave. Starscream comes in and picks up a couple people that are just hanging on for dear life on his wings.
I have nightmares like this of like being on the outside of a plane.
Did they just run out of crystal mines to ransack? And so did they think that their space bridge would be powered by the power of planet Earth's lowest energy sport?
I love baseball. I like the low energy sport.
This part where Starscream drops the humans and Inferno comes in, I thought they were going to do that old tired trope of as long as you don't hit the ground, you're safe. But he deploys a gigantic net.
Yeah. Also, I think you would break your neck, even if with that net.
You did just skip over where we get the fifth time Brawn and Soundwave go at it.
Yeah, they've got a thing. It's pretty cool. So the Autobots show up to save the day. Let me tell you, if you like baseball-related wordplay mixed in with your robot fighting action, you are in for a treat.
Yeah.
Especially from Prime. He's all over that shit.
Strike one.
Yeah, he keeps it up.
Time for a pinch hitter.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a pretty fun fight sequence, though. I especially liked Ironhide blasting Thrust in the abdomen with a light fixture.
Yeah, Prime ricocheting Thrust's rocket back is pretty cool. It's just also ridiculous.
It's over the top. He hits Thrust so hard he goes flying into the air, and then Smokescreen goes to catch him like he's an outfielder. God, it is balls to the wall, actually. Yeah. It is a crazy fight. And the Autobots are kicking ass also. They are really good in this fight. So the Autobots are messing them up, and Trailbreaker and Perceptor are working to deactivate the space bridge. Megatron won't have all that, so he fusion blasts the controls, and the explosion sends a mix of Autobots and Decepticons and Energon cubes into the now activated space bridge, which sends them into the cosmic beyond.
Ooh.
I like how when Megatron realizes what's up, that everybody's gone, he doesn't think about his missing team or anything. He just
the
says,
Energon?
no, my Energon cubes are gone.
Uh-oh.
And no mention of the disappearance of his strike force, which I think is everybody, right? No,
Not
Skywarp's
like
still
Skywarp,
around. Yeah, okay.
This Jack in the Box that Starscream bumps into at this strange alien world they've come to is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. I should mention the Transformers consisting of Prime, Smokescreen B, Inferno, Perceptor, as well as Decepticons, Starscream, Soundwave, Ravage, and Thrust. They're all materialized on a strange alien landscape, and it is trippy as hell, as Ryan just alluded to. It's like the Autobots have entered World 4 in Super Mario 3, aka Giant Land, Big Land, or the Land of the Giants.
We don't necessarily know that yet. It's like
You get a
Well,
hint pretty
it's
quick.
a pretty big Jack in the Box.
right, but you're like, what's going on? Oh, I don't understand.
Also,
Is that what you were like? You were like, huh? As you're watching
I think that's what they're trying to do here.
That Jack in the Box reminded me of the scene that still frightens me when I think about it to this day in Poltergeist with the clown and the...
yeah, a lot of
This-
people seem to have a problem with that.
This reminded me of the.
So fucking belittling.
I just never thought it was. I don't think clowns are
Really?
scary.
Well, it's not that I think clowns are scary. I think a clown possessed by a poltergeist attacking me as a young boy is scary.
Dolls don't like. That's why I like Child's Play, but I don't find.
I like how Ryan.
It's
If it doesn't
frightening.
bother Ryan, it shouldn't bother anybody
right.
else.
No, I'm giving you my opinion.
It's true. I'll stop being a snowflake.
That tree was
Ryan.
scary, though.
This episode, the beginning of this reminds me of the Games Master a little bit in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I got there's
Get that
some of
vibe.
that too. Yeah.
It's been a while since I need to watch the Games
Oh,
Master.
it's weird and fun. Baroness is,
Is
in,
ri-
Baroness is in a bikini.
Beth Bornstein, who wrote this, a woman for a change, actually did write some G.I. Joe episodes. I think she wrote the one where Flint goes on vacation or something.
They're all like
I might
on
have a
R&R.
little more on that
They're all
later.
on R&R, and then they get kind of swept up in this Games Master scenario. It's a good one.
We get to see it a little. I mean, it starts here, but throughout this episode, the Decepticons, as per usual, just sometimes completely forget they can fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, there's a giant Jack in the Box. There's some giant rubber balls, and if Transformers are big as we know them, then these toys, these items, are ginormous. So they're attacked.
Yeah, that Jack in the Box would be like 100 feet tall.
Well, I think it'd be more.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that ball that just flattened the Starscream, its circumference has got to be hundreds of feet.
Okay, what do we think? A Transformer is 20 feet tall?
Yeah, 20,
Your average
25,
Transformer? Okay.
Sure. Not that none of this matters.
We
but-
got nothing but time. This ball on Starscream, the diameter of the ball looks easily 3 Starscreams.
Yeah, that seems accurate.
So we'll call it a 60-foot ball.
I'm glad we did this.
You know, I'm a stickler for the math, Ryan.
Yes.
So, yeah, a ball lands on Starscream, which pins him to the ground. Why didn't it bounce off of him? It just stuck to him here. But they are then attacked by some kind of alien feline creature.
There are all kinds of scary monsters in this
Yeah.
place.
As Thrust attempts to engage it, he lands in a giant lake and is accosted by a savage fish-like creature. Everything is something hyphen like, because it's like things you might see on Earth, but a little different. And then Ravage is apprehended by some vine-like thing.
Mm-hmm.
Prime and the ever good and heroic Autobots take this opportunity to get the fuck out
Yeah,
of here.
they're
We're
just
not
like,
helping anybody
"Peace."
out.
And I think this is the first time we see Perceptor's ability to roll in microscope mode.
Yes, for our DC presentation, TFCon presentation, I made a whole bit on Perceptor because of his alt mode being worthless, and showed scenes where in the movie everybody transforms and rolls out, but he just takes off running. But here we see his microscope mode can roll out as well.
Mm-hmm. There is another, like, just as a weird animation error, when Soundwave is still running away from the cat, he's miscolored as Perceptor as the Autobots take off. And, okay, so the Autobots load the Energon into Prime's trailer. I don't understand why they seem so obsessed with the Energon cubes.
I think they think it's their ticket home, and why let the Decepticons have it if you've got it right there?
I guess this is just the first and only time they seem to care about Energon cubes, and they care a lot. They move them around a lot.
Yeah. Looking at that animation error that you just spoke of, I could see why they would fuck that up.
Sure.
Because they both have bazookas.
Yeah, on their shoulder.
From that drawing, there's nothing distinctively Soundwave about it. It's kind of a wide angle shot.
I don't even know what to say about the next couple minutes. When this kid shows up.
We go back to the stadium. The Autobots who are left behind are escaping the situation. Ironhide, Wheeljack, Brawn, Trailbreaker, they got to get back to Teletran 1 and figure this shit out. It was I don't know if it was an animation error, they were just lazy, but they're running away from the stadium because the space bridge, they're indicating it's about to explode, which it does, but they don't show it, and it's very quiet.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe Trailbreaker put a force field over it to muffle it or something, help save the block. I don't know. But we're going to go back beyond the bridge. The Autobots are entering a unique-looking emerald and khaki-colored building. It's poorly constructed and happens to be deserted. They make their way through the building, and they see on the other side Starscream still trapped under the giant golden ball, and reaching toward him a giant three-fingered emerald-colored hand, and that's where we go to commercial. Got anything to say about that, Ryan?
Like I said, once this kid shows up, it's just minutes of weird shit he does with the Decepticons.
Well, he doesn't know they can fly, so to be fair, putting him in the bowl. If you're the Decepticons, you gotta kind of, you gotta get your bearings, is what I'm trying to say. He rescues Starscream from under the ball, puts him in a glass jar. He rescues Soundwave from the paws of his pet, and gets thrust out of the giant lake, which is actually just a fish in a bowl.
Tank.
And Ravage in the alive. You don't need alive vines, even if you're a giant person. Aren't those vines going to try and kill you someday? Maybe more of that in the next episode. The Decepticons are his new toys, is what's happening here. What?
Yeah, there's a bit
What?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
Whenever a kid drops Ravage into the fishbowl with the rest of them, there's a point where Starscream's talking to him, but Ravage is just stuck in midair. It's another animation
They
error.
just froze him
Yeah.
there.
It's like he didn't bounce completely out of frame.
Okay, we get the reveal of this new alien character, this giant alien, and it's a kid named Aaron. What a great name, though,
Yeah, his
incidentally.
name. Oh, good. Yeah, good.
Apparently, they had Hebrews in space as
The
well.
names in this episode, are so ridiculous. Like, good space names. Aaron, the cat's named Nitro, and then that little hamster thing's named Booper or something like that. I hate it.
The Autobots watch in hiding as the Decepticons attempt and fail to escape. You've got Ramjet. Ultimately, it's tied up and tethered by a string. Ravage is placed in Booper, or whatever his name is, his cage in confinement, and is chased. And by the way, that hamster has an elephant head.
Yeah. And
It's
when
all
they
very
put
silly.
Ravage in there, he immediately starts running on the hamster wheel.
Ravage is presumably intelligent, right?
Right. Supposedly.
Soundwave is placed in a toy box. So I don't know why he puts them all in different locations. Maybe so they can't conspire.
Yeah, and then here we go. He ties Thrust up so he can fly around, but connected by a wire.
When he pulls Thrust out, it'd been a while since I'd seen this episode. He pulls Thrust out of the glass jar first, and Thrust fires on him, and it causes pain to the kid. And when he throws Thrust up against the wall, I thought at first that maybe this kid was going to be an antagonist, like a kind of a Toy Story neighbor bully kid scenario. That didn't turn out to be the case, but I got that vibe because of the way he just tossed him carelessly and kind of aggressively.
Yeah.
But again, what are you going to do if you get shot with a laser by this thing in your room for no reason? Who is in there and blasts out?
Starscream. And
Again, they could fly.
I think it's Starscream and Soundwave, actually. Yeah, but
Oh,
Starscream.
are you sure it's not Skywarp?
Skywarp?
Why do they keep making that mistake? Starscream will ultimately make his way to the building where the Autobots are hiding, and he really stupidly fires on it. This seems like a situation where you would try and team up, especially if you're as conniving as Starscream is. But he just shoots at them and shoots the Energon cubes.
I kept expecting that to happen in this episode, where the Autobots and Decepticons team up to get home, but it never does.
It seems appropriate.
Yeah, it seems like that would be the go-to, but the Decepticons are always antagonistic.
Let's put our arms down to fight another day.
Even though at the beginning they asked them to help, they asked the Autobots to help them.
Yes.
I guess since they don't, they're like, fuck it.
Maybe this is all caused by Prime ditching them in the very early stages of this episode. So a lot of the Energon cubes explode. The Autobots salvage what they can. They escape the building. Inferno transforms and he stifles the flames. Starscream walks out a wet mess, and then he is captured by Aaron and is put in confinement. At this point, introductions are in order. This kid's name is Aaron, as I've said.
So dumb.
1A. I'm a double A.
Like a battery.
He gets the full rundown on the Autobots being the good, Decepticons being bad, blah, blah, blah. Just as they are about to get to the tough questions like, where the hell are we? Aaron's parents walk in and bust up the party. The Decepticons try to escape again, causing some minor pandemonium. Aaron's parents collect them and put them in a box for safekeeping. They don't like that Aaron has these creatures. They could be dangerous. Aaron's mom is calling the authorities.
Calling the authorities?
Who are these authorities?
For these presumably toys or whatever that you just have shown up in your kid's room.
Well, they're clearly alive. I mean, you would be alarmed in this situation.
I'd call the authorities. I wouldn't call the authorities.
I'm sorry, I tried to lie to you.
I say defund the authorities.
Redistribute the funds among different authorities appropriately.
Yes. Who knows? Maybe these authorities, their specific job was like to do something like this rather than...
It'll turn out they're pretty awful.
It's true.
The Decepticons keep trying to assault them. I guess it at least serves as a potential distraction so that they can get away, although it never really works for them. They keep shooting at these people, and
This takes forever.
it is a little drawn out, and it's less interesting than I would think it would be. Apparently, I didn't write much about this, but
I didn't either. That's why I said, like, we just watched this shit happen for a while.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was actually surprised when the episode ended. I was like, wait, this is not much happened.
Yeah,
But, I mean, a lot of weird stuff happened, but it was like most of the episode just takes place in this bedroom.
Yes. Yeah, the Decepticons are basically trying to assault the aliens so they can get free, but they get captured. The Autobots transform into their vehicle modes, I guess, to try and be undetected or not noticeable by the parents, but they are. It doesn't matter. Everybody's captured. Authorities. We're going to go back to Earth. And Teletran won. You got Chip Chase, everybody.
Yay. Yeah, he says we've already contacted Cybertron and they're not there. And I'm like, who are you calling on Cybertron?
Shockwave?
Shockwave? I guess the implication is there's still Autobots back home. Right here where we see Teletran 1 switching through all these planet diagrams, one of the labels is The Thing.
What? Is that a reference to something?
I don't think so. I think it's just them putting in words. It's the only actual words on there.
I saw it. Okay.
Yeah. The rest are just numbers and letters. Anyway, I saw that and I was distracted by it.
Unfortunately, Teletran can't get a pin on the location of our Autobot friends. All we know is they're not on Earth or Cybertron. We go back to the unknown planet. We're in some kind of alien government facility. The authorities have contained the Autobots and Decepticons and are analyzing them. Aaron is concerned these functionaries are going to hurt his friends, and he's right.
Because they immediately are like, I guess we'll dissect them.
We're going to vivisect these robotoads and find out what makes them tick. Out come the saw blades, and we go to commercial. The scientists insist on cutting them open when they could clearly have a conversation.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the Decepticons or even the Autobots will be honest with these guys, but they can at least try that first. That's how interrogation works.
I think they just want to cut these things up.
They're just knife fiends.
Scientist is probably named John or Fred or some dumb shit like that.
Were you hoping for Bleep Blop or
Yeah,
something
anything like a normal fucking space episode.
I mean, you got Aaron in here. Maybe
Aaron
maybe
and
that's
Nitro and Booper.
Maybe that's Caleb. Caleb the scientist.
Yes, I'm cool with that.
And Ryan is probably the bully kid has a name.
Marty.
Marty, what's going on? Aaron?
Great. Where's Doc?
It's funny how Ryan gets annoyed at these.
It's just so dumb.
It is kind of silly. And they call him Aaron, but I guess it's their way of making it alien-like, dropping the A.
Which you wouldn't even know.
I think
Right.
I think that the writers probably were trying to really connect with the kids in this one, and maybe trying to. I don't know. It is weird.
Maybe they're trying to connect with the single A Aarons out there. Any single A's out there? And how do you feel about being the inferior Aaron?
Where my singles at?
It is weird. A kid totally would have. It was unnecessary. He could have been named Zip Zap, and the kids would be like, "Yeah, it's Zip Zap the kid."
And if we'd have said Zip Zap the kid, Ryan would be over here, be like, "Zip Zap, come on,
Zip Zap,
I
come on."
I definitely would not. Be
either
like
be
that.
more creative with your stupid alien names, or call them normal names."
Well, I don't know, but anyway, yeah.
We come back from commercial. Single A Ron steps up big time and rescues the Autobots from being sliced to scrap. He runs away from the facility. He ends up ducking behind a shrub. He escapes the authorities, as well as scrutiny from a schoolyard bully named Marty.
Marty's a dick.
He is. Give me what's behind your back, or I'll wail on you.
Why you hitting yourself, Aaron? Why you hitting yourself? Why you hitting yourself?
Yeah, this was triggering for me. Why has Marty got his little popsicle?
Yeah, which he doesn't even. He just ditches.
I didn't really write many notes on it, but Aaron is hiding the Autobots, who are in kind of a crystal container behind his back so the bully can't see them. But he's also up against a
Trash can?
an alien trash can, which the Autobots jump in to hide so they can't get discovered.
So that Marty doesn't be like, "Oh, I'm gonna blow him up with my firecrackers."
Yeah, fuck that guy. Voiced by the same person.
Oh,
That must have been fun in the recording room. I'm sure it happens all the time.
Yeah, they probably won't sit around scratching their heads like, "How are we gonna do this?"
But I do kind of wonder if they record all of Aaron's lines first and then recorded all of Marty's and it all happens in post, or does she just go flip back and forth
I doubt it.
during the
I think it's
recording
all,
session?
I think they record it separately, just like they do for some of the other voice actors on the show.
Yeah. Well, Aaron fishes the Autobots out of the trash can. He knows where to hide the Autobots so no one will ever find them. But Prime explains, we don't belong here. We've got to get back to Earth. Earth, sun, sun, stars, stars, sky, sky, telescope, telescope. Dad's girly magazines. Look, we got to get out of here, and that telescope may be our ticket home. There's a
a lot to say about that when we get there.
It turns out the Decepticons have also managed to escape. Additionally, the authorities have spotted Aaron. Aaron hides the Autobots in some sewage, straight up TMNT style.
And he's like, "Meet me at my house," which I hope they have a better sense of direction than I do, because there's no way I'd be able to find it again.
Yeah. The Decepticons ambush the Autobots. A good old-fashioned, poorly animated sewer scrap
Oh my
ensues.
God.
Toward the end of the tussle, a wave of muck washes the Autobots from the sewer as the Decepticons finally remember they can escape via flying.
That part where Starscream kicks Prime is some egregious animation issues.
It's really weird.
Like, watch his leg.
It's just disconnected from his body. I think it's a different... I mean, it's certainly a different animation cell overlaid over the
Yes.
top, right?
Yeah.
Because does Starscream have that same leg still there in the same frame?
I think it's covering it. It's covering his whole body.
that's something that you have to know is wrong when you're doing it.
I don't care. I got a lot of cells to do
Yeah, I
today.
got work to do.
Minute 16:31 is the animation equivalent of fuck it.
It's a leg from nowhere.
It doesn't even really look like his leg.
No, it doesn't.
It's vaguely colored like him. Anyway, there's a little bit of a fight scene, and it's not it's not as good as the baseball fight scene.
I mean, you are like Caleb. To your point, a lot of stuff happens, but it doesn't really matter. Like, it's kind of boring, honestly.
It's weird. Yeah. What's weird is I forget by this point in the episode, I've already forgotten that the baseball thing happened.
Well, and that baseball stadium's ash now.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess that was a forfeit.
That's okay. The owner of the team was probably trying to hold the city hostage to build a new stadium for billions of dollars. And by the way, the team owners are pieces of garbage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you experienced it directly with the or no, you experienced it more directly with the Rams and the Cardinals. I don't know. I'm sure the city probably did subsidize the Cardinals' new stadium, but the Rams moved back to Los Angeles based on the fact that the team owner couldn't get the city to pay for a new stadium for him.
Yeah, I don't have the emotion. Unfortunately, I'm going to pull a Ryan here. I don't really have the emotional investment in it. I don't really care.
Well,
I like to watch.
It's just billionaires
And ironically,
doing billionaire shit.
and of course, that enraged me. I am very emotionally invested in the Rams. I don't know. I'm just being dumb.
I was about to say, really?
I'm just being dumb.
He's like, God, that run Kurt Warner had in the 2000s was amazing. Imagine a stock boy becoming
Ryan,
a Super Bowl
yeah.
champion.
Now Ryan's just being ornery. He's just taking a stance.
I'm incorrigible.
Yeah.
Sorry. Even this scene, like the sewer scene, we don't have to be here this long. We
I
don't
know.
need the. I mean, I guess you need the sweeping away to get them going faster.
They need to turn this
speed
into
it
a
up.
half hour. No,
It really feels like there's like, they're
5 minutes of episode to.
Yeah, they have like 5 servings. They're stretching out for 10 people.
Yeah, there you go. That is what this is. They had a concept, and I think they're just dragging it out into the meet the time.
I'm having problems dragging it out for us.
I know.
that's true.
That's why I've made fewer notes on this one than I think I've ever had.
Let's get through it then.
We get back to Aaron's house. The parents are lecturing him by the aforementioned telescope. He shouldn't have helped them escape. They could be dirty.
There's a part, I think it's like at 1522, where the Decepticons are flying and Ravage is running in the air. It's very funny.
I might have accidentally fast-forwarded past that.
It's also weird to see the Seekers flying in robot mode. And Starscream's nose was overlaid by his arm. Or overlaid his arm. Whatever.
It happens.
All right, we're back at the kid's house.
Yeah.
Everybody's together.
That's correct. The Decepticons have taken to the skies. They're plotting how to steal the Energon cubes and use them to return to Earth. The Autobots encounter Nitro, who's taken a shining to them, and Nitro's he's the space cat, and they hop a ride on him back to enter Aaron's domicile. The science here is that Perceptor is going to use his light cannon on his shoulder to magnify the Energon Cube's power through the telescope, which will create a ray of energy that will send the Autobots all the way back to Earth, I guess.
So I've missed this twice now. How do the Decepticons get back to Earth?
Well, we're not there yet.
Oh,
but
I went too far here.
But so I do like where Perceptor's explaining what he's going to do. Prime says, "Don't talk about it, just do it."
He does that twice in this
He does,
episode.
and I just made me laugh because I'm like, Perceptor's been annoying Autobot leaders since 1985. This cobbled together light ray contraption is pretty lazy, even for a gadget plot device. Like, how do you even know where to point it?
Yeah, I think TF Wiki mentioned that this basic, like, not even professional level telescope, I'm sure by this planet's technology, how would you get it precisely pointed to Earth? Presuming it would even do that. Like, it's sucking up the energy, and then you ride this ultralight beam all the way to Earth. Like, there's, like, I'm sure foul science behind that, but then you have to presume it's exactly in Earth's direction, which is probably light years upon light years away, and is moving. So you'd have to do the calculations to
you're
catch
also,
it on the flip.
You're also on something that's moving, and
right.
so it has to be at least 4.5 light years away. That's the closest star to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Alpha Centauri. They didn't even get them back to Earth on the episode, which is interesting. They just leave. For all we know, if you didn't
That's
see
true.
anything-
That's true.
They
Well,
would
the
just-
Decepticons got
So,
back to Earth.
How,
on
now
it.
again, how did they get back to Earth?
So
Well, they jumped on. They got the beam.
yeah, when Perceptor activates the beam, they grab Bumblebee and they jump onto the light beam instead of the Autobots, and then there's no more energy to send the Autobots home.
Does Bumblebee go back
No,
with
no,
them?
they use him
Sorry.
as a hostage.
Oh,
That's
okay.
okay. No, yeah, I should just we should
I
talk
see
through
it
it.
now.
Decepticons show up. They're like, we're gonna take this beam, or we're gonna kill Bumblebee, and then just jump in the beam.
I got you.
And so they're like, no, what are
Because
we gonna-"
Nitro saves Bumblebee.
He saves
Actually, he
Bumblebee.
lunges at the Decepticons,
Good old
and then
Nitro.
boom, blast. It'd be funny if they missed their calculation. They blasted him somewhere wacky. That actually would have been a funny ending.
Wackier, I suppose. No, it'd be then it's like Gulliver's Travels. Then they beam him to somewhere else where they're super big.
Yes.
So we've got a Gulliver thing going on.
There is actual reference to Gulliver Travel connected to this episode.
Oh,
that
really?
We'll get into, yeah.
I did it.
So the Decepticons are shot back to Earth, and the Autobots are out of luck. No Energon, no hope. I did think this was a funny joke that I think Starscream told about.
alligators?
Yeah, he said something like, at least there's no big green
monsters.
monsters around, but then they're surrounded by gators. But
Those would be tiny gators.
they're giant gators because they're the size of the Transformers. Those would be, by our math that we just did, I guess gators can be 20 feet in length, probably.
It's not
Is that
totally
presumable?
common, but they can.
No, 20
I mean, they
feet,
grow.
that might be long.
They grow.
Tail to
they never.
head?
They never stop growing. So just depending on how old they are is how big they get.
We'll Google
I would
this
say it's
later.
probably the size of maybe the gator in Lake Placid.
Well, I feel like tyrannosaurs were 20 feet tall.
I don't have those figures, but I think it's probably about right.
We're going to do some post-show Googling. We'll catch you everybody back up.
When this kid had an idea, I knew he was going to pull out a rocket ship. That's really the only time I was ahead of this episode.
Why is that rocket ship in a drawer? I mean, that thing's cool. You got to display that thing. This kid knows nothing about toy display. And actually, they're in their dad's room. Why does their dad have a toy rocket
No,
ship?
that's his room. He had the telescope in his room from before.
The Autobots on Aaron's planet are a little depressed. As long as they're on this planet, they're going to have to watch their back the whole time. But as Ryan alluded to, Aaron's got an idea. Perhaps his toy rocket ship would be of service. Turns out it will. It just takes a little bit of Perceptor modification, and it's goodbye, Aaron. You're the best named one-shot character of all time.
That part where the Autobots board the shuttle is quite bad.
It's awesome. I've seen.
It's one of the more iconic.
It doesn't make sense.
Terrible cell layering I've ever
wrong?
seen. They kind of phase through the ship. The cat is in the middle of the ship. They don't have any feet.
Their feet are just on the other side of it's like they have slipped through the atoms.
Yeah.
Things didn't work out very well. Things are so bizarre.
The cat. They try to make it cute. Nitro gives him a little lick, but then Nitro's in the ship. What is
so bad.
happening?
So bad.
Take Nitro back to Earth. I want to hear about Nitro's adventures on Earth.
Yeah.
Prime does say here, every time you look up at the stars, you'll know your friends are there, which I thought was cute.
Nitro kind of reminds me of Bono's cats.
Oh.
Echo and Pearl?
And
This is
we have reached the end of the
Yeah.
episode.
This is a weird one. It's oddly boring.
It could have been more fun for a space episode.
It's
Every time you think there's potential, like they're going somewhere crazy, and maybe this is going to be our season 3 experience. They're going somewhere crazy. Nah. It's exactly like Earth,
Yeah.
just bigger eyeballs.
Yes. Or with no pupils.
Well, a couple fun details.
Yeah. Tell me about
that
it.
I'd love to share with you gentlemen. So first of all, Magic Square is a third-party toy company that I purchased from. They make legend-size figures. For those who aren't collectors, legend-size figures are small. Just look
Okay.
at it. They're like small, but they
Gotcha.
make them as show accurate and articulated and fun transformation. Not almost as masterpiece, but it's a very high quality level of engineering and show likeness.
Okay.
So anyway, this company that makes these, I wanted to bring it up because their mascot is Aaron. That's what they put him on all their boxes, which I think is a fun,
Interesting.
That is cool.
smart reference.
I get it.
Then we go to new voice actors and the new writer, Beth Bornstein. I think we may have covered her in the past because I think she wrote an episode before this. But In case I didn't, she will go on to pen a few more, including The Search for Alpha Trion and Nightmare Planet.
I think
maybe
those are
didn't
the
cover.
only 3 she did.
Okay, then maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
She also wrote for He-Man, Gem, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, Silverhawks, Thundercats, Batman animated series, Tiny Toon Adventures. I looked her up on LinkedIn.
So did I.
Well, what did you find, Ryan?
She pretty much stopped writing in the mid '90s, and according to LinkedIn, she's now a writer's workshop leader and acting teacher in Hawaii.
On the Big Island.
That's awesome. I want to work. I want to do something, anything. in Hawaii.
Honestly, I am jealous of her life. It just looks like she's living her best one out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. She also, there's a Hawaii Performing Arts Festival that it looks like she is helps direct every year. No, it just looks amazing. She's living it up. As far as new voice actors, we've got, this is who we've actually covered previously. Sorry, I was confused. Aaron, Marty, and the mother were all voiced by Mona Marshall, who also voiced Louisa in and also the world famous kid in Megatron costume.
Oh my God!
But you'll recall she is most well known for her role as Sheila Broflovsky on South Park. And on the TF Wiki, it's kind of funny that it shows a picture of her, and the caption is, "As far as we can tell, she's not a big fat bitch."
Wow. All right.
Do with that what you want. The father was played, I felt, really well with some nice warmth by Walker Edmiston.
Texas. Oh.
Yes. Pull the lever. Walker Edmiston also voices Inferno. Nitro. I bet you guys can't guess who voiced Nitro.
Frank Welker.
Good job. And the scientist was John Stevenson, who plays basically all the jerks like Dr. Alcazar, Huffer, Windcharger, but also Thundercracker, Alpha Trion, Cup when we get to season 3.
All the jerks.
So that'll take us to
In the real world.
I've got a little bit here on the Okay, so the American Top 40. All right. This is kind of a story time. I honestly didn't do anything for this one because it's been a rough week for me, and I just couldn't bring myself to look up music. Like, if I were just telling you the number one song, it wouldn't be hard, but I have to dig for another 1985 song if there's a duplicate with even a vaguely interesting story or one that I like. And so the reason it's been a tough week is that the other day, West said that she thought I was starting to look thin, and I was like, really? So I went and weighed myself, and I'm down like 15 pounds from this time last year. So, and I didn't really have it to lose. So I'm like at 125 pounds now. And yeah, and so I've realized it's because I just don't eat.
Yeah, that would probably be a good reason.
And I've I guess it's been going on for about 10 years or so that I can remember, but I have sort of a weird, unhealthy relationship with food where I don't want to eat. Like, the idea of eating sometimes makes me nauseated, especially starting to eat in the morning. I don't think it's technically anorexia nervosa, but it's similar in that I don't have body dysmorphia or anything. The idea of eating food makes me feel sick a lot of times. If I can start eating in the day, usually I can continue, and usually fruit will work, or I have protein shakes. But I've been tracking like my calories, and I'm eating like 800 calories a day.
Holy shit.
So when do you think this hasn't always been the case?
No, it's been worse in the last couple years. I don't know why, and it's not like I'm making conscious decisions not to eat, but I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel sick to think about eating a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Is that psychosomatic?
Since I'm thinking it, I think it is just like the idea makes me sick.
I cannot speak for what you're going through, but when I have bouts of anxiety, the idea of eating to me is very off-putting. Mm-hmm. But then once my anxiety is over, then my appetite comes roaring back. And so, I can't imagine why you possibly would have any kind of anxiety, Ryan. I mean, everything's okay in the world. Everything's going just fine.
I don't think it's tied to that for me. I mean, I wanted to basically bring it up just because, like, it's something I've been going through this week, but also if anybody else out there has a similar issue. I know especially, men having eating disorders is really underreported.
Do you have any kind of strategy besides?
Forcing myself to eat.
No. See, but or to get to the root of the issue to get your appetite back.
I don't. I guess I should. I really just should talk to somebody or go to a therapist or a psychiatrist and see if they can help. But
Are you going to do that?
I guess. I'm in the meantime. I need to try to get some high caloric content.
If you didn't have calories, your calories been sustained by alcohol in some ways? I mean, is it?
Well,
would you have lost a lot more if it weren't for your drinking?
I don't know. But those calories are mostly burned off as heat, so I don't know.
Explain.
Whenever you metabolize hard alcohol calories, it's burned off as heat. You don't store it.
Really?
I mean, it depends. Like, the beer's not the same because beer has carbohydrate.
I don't think forcing yourself to eat is the solution, obviously. I don't think that's
I don't know what it is. Well, I don't know what the solution is.
I think you need to talk to somebody and get your head straight.
Yeah, you're right.
Have you done any Googling? What does Google reveal?
I actually haven't looked it up. Even this has only been 3 to 4 days that I've been that this has come up. I didn't realize I was losing weight.
So you're hoping that by talking about this on the podcast that you have someone maybe reach out to just have a similar story.
Or sure, if you can, if you had dealt with this, how did you get past it?
I gotcha. Okay, listeners, help Ryan.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
you look great.
I've gone down,
very, very sexy.
I've gone up 4 belt loops, 4 belt holes.
So you had to have noticed that over the course of a year.
Yeah, it just didn't occur to me.
Yeah.
Really.
And it probably wouldn't occur that it equated to, would you say 15 pounds?
About 15 pounds over the last. I weighed probably a year ago. I weighed 140.
That would be a healthy weight loss for somebody that needed to lose.
Yeah, I need to lose 15 to 20 pounds, but I'm not that's a lot. You consider yourself lucky, know.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of you guys. When my anxiety expresses itself in eating, I'll eat whenever.
I completely. If I have serious anxiety, man, my appetite is gone. Well, Ryan, I hope that you.
Thanks for sharing.
I hope you find a way to deal with this. And of course, I recommend contacting a psychiatrist, and let's all do some ayahuasca together.
Yeah.
Aaron will give us...
Actually, that's a wild one. We should probably start with something a little milder.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, let's go on a float trip.
I do have a number 1 at the box office. It's not a really number 1 at the box office. Since it's still Death Wish 3, I wanted to talk about Pee-wee's Big Adventure from this year.
Oh, shout out to Derek. That's his favorite movie.
This is my favorite movie.
It's a great movie. For anyone who's been, who doesn't know, Pee-wee Herman was a character created by Paul Rubens as a sort of eccentric man-child. It was originally an adult-oriented special on HBO, and then became a very strange kids show on Saturday morning.
Yeah, it was good.
In the movie, Pee-wee gets his bike stolen and has to go on an adventure across the country to find his beloved bicycle. It was directed by Tim Burton and written. I didn't know this. Written by Phil Hartman and Paul Rubens. And there's just so many classic bits, like the Large Marge is probably the most famous.
Yeah.
The Cabazon dinosaurs, which are also featured in The Wizard. The basement of the Alamo.
The biker bar.
The tequila.
The dancing on
tequila
the
dance.
On the bar.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It made almost $50 million on a $6 million budget. So obviously it did really well. And then on fun facts from history, again, I was not feeling great. So I don't know. Reagan did some heinous shit, whatever.
All right. Tough week for Ryan. Tough week. Everyone, show your love for Ryan.
I'm not begging for attention. I just wanted to bring it up.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing it up. We hope that we're here for you, and we need you to really talk to a counselor.
It's interesting because you are a foodie.
That is true. If I'm, if I'm cooking, usually I can eat, but not always. I just like cooking mostly. Anyway, that's the real world.
Jesus. Christ.
That's the real world.
Boy.
3 friends pick to live in a basement and talk about Transformers and their mental problems.
This is what I've had this morning. I had 3/4 of an apple so far.
Well, at least you recognizing it is the first step to figuring it out. I know you don't want to make this about you, so I'll move on. Oh, Ryan did not cover this. Okay, I thought you might cover it, but since you didn't, initially this planet that they're on is not named.
Right.
But it was later in life, officially named through the Allspark Almanac, and it is called Brobdingnag, which is a direct reference to Gulliver's Travels.
Oh, okay. I was about to say they call the boy Aaron, but then they go ahead and name the
Yeah.
planets in the wild.
I did see that.
It's referencing Gulliver's Travels. That's actually pretty cool.
Well, then I guess we could do this.
Script deviations.
Basically, this script wasn't on there, so you covered everything. I was just going to cover with Beth Bornstein. So yeah, we're good there. Like these scripts, a lot of the drive that I find the scripts on, it's the only place I can find the original script with like markups by Ron Friedman. All the other scripts I can find are just like either straight up transcripts of the episode that aired,
Right.
or just the finished script. And like, but it skips from like episode 42 to episode 60. So I don't know if I'm gonna have many more like specific script deviations for a little bit.
It's undeviated scripts.
Yeah.
It's just
There's nothing
scripts.
different.
If there's no deviates, then there ain't no.
Bleebiates.
Then let's write the scheme.
Oh, what?
There isn't even one.
Well, there was some kind of initial scheme about building a space bridge at a ballpark.
I would give the scheme a 0.
0 stars on
Yeah,
the scheme.
horrible scheme. Building it, yeah.
And then everything else is not really a scheme; it's just an accident.
They're just trying to get back.
Just reacting
They just-
reacting to things.
This is probably the worst Decepticon scheme I've seen because it's doomed from the get-go. Installing their space bridge at a live baseball game.
And it fails immediately.
It's fucked.
I still don't even understand the logic.
No.
Unless maybe the shape of the stadium somehow enhances the
No, I don't-
transmission.
Yeah,
But why do you even need that? You've already built space bridges that don't need
Yeah.
a stadium.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Okay, well, we don't like it.
It's a terrible scheme. I would maybe give it some points just for originality, but that's about it.
There's a fun fight sequence
Yeah.
at the beginning,
Yes.
and that's all you got.
Yeah.
Then, how about the iconic moment?
I didn't really have one. I thought it was weird to see Ravage running on a hamster wheel.
Being chased by an
I
elephant?
guess the iconic moment should be that part where the Autobots board that
Yeah.
ship.
I remember seeing that one just from
Yeah.
know social media. So I guess that's iconic only because it's just a failure.
It's just
Right.
bad all around.
I think that the intro of the alien hand as it went to that first commercial break was iconic, although I think everything you guys have picked is actually better.
Next time on the Autopod Decepticast.
An unstoppable swarm of Insecticons will send several Autobots on a quest for survival.
I liked this next one a lot better.
Preview. If you'd like to support us, you can do it one of two ways, via our Patreon or pick up some merch at our APDC store. You could check out either of those things, our website, autopoddecepticast.com, or check us out at Patreon, patreon.com/apoddcast. Other than that, continue to listen. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn. Apple Podcast users, leave us a review. Follow us on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of them, at APODcast. Visit our web presence at autopoddecepticast.com.
So fun.
Caleb's here with the assist all episode.
I know. I've been doing nothing.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, bye. That was an episode of the show.
Well,
I'm trying to think. I made up for it. I was obviously embarrassed, but the only way that you can save any face at all in a situation like that, because these people
to never do
were
that ever
likable.
again.
No, I drew a caricature of myself, of the event, just mocking me,
okay.
where I had, the main image is me with a wet crotch, and then I drew interpretations of each of the people that were fucked over by my
And that's
poor
your
tolerances.
solution. That's your solution. Make a cartoon out of it.
It was funny, yeah. People
Okay.
thought it was funny.
Right on.
Like,
They
I
put
think-
it, pin it up at pin it
I
up on the
did.
job board.
I did. I pinned it up on the
There
job
you go.
board, and
There you
everybody. This was a time when you could do that. This was the would have been what 2000
Early
year-
2000s, yeah.
And I don't think I would post any pictures of myself.
At your current employer.
But also that just wouldn't happen.
I don't think it would. I don't like these days. Like
It's been a
when I go
long
out
time.
when I go out camping anymore, I drink, and I can. You know, you're talking about tolerance. I can drink more beer, and it takes longer for me to get drunk now. But anymore, like I used to be, like if I'm hungover in the morning, it's okay. Now I'm like, I'm intentionally trying to avoid being hungover these days because it's just. It just ruins my whole next day.
Yeah.
And,
I had I made myself 2 rum drinks on Wednesday, and I could barely operate on Thursday. I just felt like shit.
Really, yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, I just, we're just not, we just can't bounce back like we used to.
I used to be able to drink a 5th of vodka in a night, and if I mixed it with something like club soda, I would be functional, pretty functional the next day, and not feel like total trash.
I'm sure I could also be okay the next day. But then again, I didn't have kids waking me up in the morning, and I didn't have to take care of the kids. I just had me to worry about, and so usually that would revolve around if I got fucked up the night before. It would just be the next day morning. It'd be me and Aaron and like hungover watching Freddie Got Fingered on television or something like that. You know,
that was about the same time.
Yeah,
as this party.
Yeah.
Or we'd be recovering from setting Ryan on fire the previous night.
I didn't have to really recover. There was no recovery. I just couldn't wait to get my pictures back from 1 Hour Photo. That was.
Yeah, that's crazy. Back in those days, you'd take a shot. You didn't know if it was good or not until it came back. Whereas nowadays, you take a shot. I don't like it. Take another one.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to some podcast, and it was someone talking about their experience when they used to develop pictures at 1 Hour Photo, and they basically knew the town's dirty secrets because there's people would do dumb stuff, like if they were cheating on their spouse, they would have pictures of themselves with their spouse, like
in the same role.
On the same role, like you'd have like them at their weekend retreat with their
mistress.
Yeah, and then a few pictures later, it'd just be like fucking family photos and stuff. How fucked up is that?
That's really sad.
Yeah.
I wonder if you work at one of those places, if it's like HIPAA, like you can't talk about it.
This person on the podcast actually, I didn't mention that, but did say that they could, if there was an experience where they had a teacher or someone like try to hold them accountable for something, and they said, "Oh, well, if you're going to do that, by the way, you probably don't want to do that because I develop all your photos." Wink, wink. And they would get off. Then there was nothing. Yeah, it was blackmail. It's blackmail. Right. But
is it blackmail? I guess it is.
It is blackmail.
I would say it's blackmail if you proactively sought that person out and tried to get something in exchange. But if somebody is trying to give you shit and you remind them that you have some leverage over them, is that blackmail?
I don't know. That's a good question. Anyway, that's what they did.
Okay.
And yeah.
What podcast was this?
Oh, it was My Favorite Murder.
Oh, okay.
I love My Favorite Murder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Georgia Hardstark and Karen Kilgariff.
Yeah, Melody loves that show. One of them is from Mr. Show.
Yeah, one of them was involved in Mr. Show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good show.
Okay.
Good podcast. I'm surprised Ryan. I mean, it's all about true crime. Ryan, do you ever listen to My Favorite Murder? Ryan likes it. Yeah, it's good stuff. I love the stories.
Yeah, the episodes I've listened to are good. They've got good charisma.
Oh yeah. No, they make horrible things fun to listen to.
Autopod Decepticast is sponsored by Goshen. Yeah. Autopod Decepticast is sponsored by Goshen. 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 Autopod De